Alright YouTube, David Harry here, and in this video I'm going to show you how I turn my iPad mini 6 into a desktop gaming console. Now I'm going to quickly go through all the stuff that's on the table here, and then I will quickly show you how I connect it all together, and then I will get into some game capture of Call of Duty. However, if you would like to see a more involved video to do with connecting things to an iPad mini 6, there will be a link on the screen right now, one at the end of the video and one in the description below. So the first thing to get into here are the controllers. So I've used the Series X, the PS5 and the PS4 controller with the iPad mini 6, all's good. Then here we have got a DockTech interface, which is what I use to connect everything into to get into the iPad, and then also to get the iPad to the TV or the computer monitor. And here is a microphone adapter which allows me to use the microphone off my gaming headset with the USB audio interface that I'm going to be using. Here is a bunch of cables that I will be using during this setup. Here is my USB audio interface for the setup, and here is a pair of headphones that I've put together as well for this particular setup, and obviously my iPad mini 6. So the first thing to mention then is the protection that I've got for my iPad mini 6. From here on in, I will just call this the iPad, the mini, or the 6. We know exactly what I'm talking about. So what this is a trifold magnetic case by ESR, which allows you to buckle it up when not in use, and then you can just open it up and in typical trifold style just stand it on a tabletop like that. And also I have got an ESR tempered glass screen protector. Now this is the first component and arguably the most important one, and this is a USB-C hub by DockTech. So what it is, on one end here we have got an Ethernet port, so we can connect via a wired internet connection to our modem or router. Now the other ports from left to right are the USB-C power input, so we can charge and power the iPad at the same time, and that will also then pass power through to other things that are connected to the USB-C hub. Next to that we have got two USB 3 ports. Next to those we have got a large and micro SD card slots, and then finally out of those ports we have got a 4K 60 frames per second capable HDMI output. And then of course on the end of the cable we have got USB-C to connect directly to our mini 6. So the first thing that I'm going to plug into the hub is the HDMI cable. So just pop that into the HDMI socket on the hub, and then plug the other end of the cable into your TV or your monitor. Now if all you needed to do for your mini 6 gaming setup was to give it HDMI output, because you don't need anything else that I'm going to be doing here, then go ahead and connect the hub to your mini 6 via the USB-C cable on the end of the hub, and then we have the most basic gaming setup for the mini 6. However, I'm going to continue now connecting everything up that makes this my particular gaming rig. So what I'm going to do now is to connect my Cat5 Ethernet cable into the Ethernet port on the end of the hub there, and then connect the other end of that cable into your modem or router. Now the next thing that I'm going to connect is my Euphoria UMC 202 USB audio interface. So at the very least this will allow me a really good headphone output, but it will also allow me to connect microphones as well to my mini 6 setup. And the way to connect the audio interface to the hub is exactly the same way we would do this on a computer, and that's with one of these USB printer type cables, which is a B to A. So basically we get the B end of the cable, we plug that into the USB audio interface, and then we take the other end of the cable, which is the A end, and then we plug that into one of the available USB 3 sockets on the hub, like so. Now something very important to bear in mind right now, and that is if you want the audio to come out of your USB audio interface, you plug it in last of all, after you have plugged the hub into your TV and the iPad is connected to it. The reason why is because the first place that audio will come from is your HDMI cable through your TV. Now you may want it that way. If not, if you do want to use the audio from the USB audio interface, just make sure it plugs in last after everything has been plugged into your TV. That is effectively how you switch the audio between TV and your audio interface. Now, as far as audio monitoring is concerned, if you're not using a microphone and you're just using your headphones to monitor and that's all, then just go ahead at this point and connect your headphones to the output of the audio interface. Now, you may also need to use a 3.5mm to 1/4 inch adapter like this, and then just plug it in like that, and then that's job job done at that point. So that is for headphones only, which are TRS. However, if you're using a gaming headset which has got an audio output which is on TRRS, then what we need to do here is to use a TRRS splitter. So we plug the headphones into the splitter, and then on the other end of this splitter cable we have then got a TRS headphone output and a TRS microphone output. So what we then do is just simply plug the headphone into the headphone socket there, and then we take the mic end of the splitter cable and we plug it into this, which is a Rode VXLR Plus. And what this does, it allows us to be able to plug the microphone into a phantom power preamp, and it drops the voltage from 48 volts down to about 5 volts, which is suitable for the microphone on a gaming headset. And then we just plug that basically into either of the mic sockets on the USB audio interface. Now, of course, at this point, you may have a slightly different variation for your requirements on headphone and microphone. You can, of course, plug a microphone directly into the USB audio interface, either via the 1/4-inch interfaces that are on the front or through the XLRs like we've just done with the VXLR Plus. But you can sort that out whatever way suits you best. Now, what we should be left with here is something that looks like a whole heap of mess on the table. However, we can clean this up very easily with just one simple cable. Now, this simple cable is this one, which is a USB-C extender cable. So what we do, we just take the output from the USB-C hub, we plug that into the female part of the extender cable, then we take the male end of the cable, which is the USB-C end here, and then we pop that into the Mini 6 like so. And then as we can see, I can now push all of that stuff all over the place out of the way. What I'm going to do now is just flip over and show you two ways that this is going to look. One way is quite messy, that doesn't use the extender cable, and the other way is quite neat, which uses the extender cable. But before I do that, I'm just going to pair up my game controller first, and in this instance I'm using a PS4 controller. So go to settings, then come down to Bluetooth, make sure that it is switched on, and then put your game controller into pairing mode. Like I said, I'm using the PS4 here, so that is the PS button and the share button at the same time. And as we'll see here, the PS controller will start flashing like that, as we can see. Now, when it starts flashing, we are going to get an indicator that comes up in the Bluetooth section of the iPad, which says DualShock 4 wireless controller. This should come up with whatever the name of your controller is. So I'm going to connect to that, and then as we'll see now, it says connected. And if we have a quick look on the back of my controller, it has now gone to a solid light, which means it is now connected. Okay, so as we can see there, everything is all plugged in and it's all coming out of my monitor, and I'm also using my headphones with the mic on them as well. Now what I'm going to do is switch this over to the other setup, because this quite possibly looks a little bit messy right now. However, this is now what it looks like when it's all tidied up with the use of that USB-C extender cable, and the vast majority of everything is now hidden behind the monitor or behind the table. Okay, so now that I've shown you this, I will now get into some game capture using Call of Duty Mobile on this, my iPad mini gaming console setup. So this is now the screen capture for the iPad, and we should notice that this is going to look really good. But the first thing that I'm going to do here is just to show us what internet connection we're using. As we can see, Wi-Fi is switched off, which means we're connected via Ethernet. So right now, this is the USB-C hub plugged into my router. Okay, now the other thing which is pretty neat here, I'm on the PS4 controller. If you have a look there, I'm actually navigating around the iPad there with the controller, which is pretty cool. Now what I'm going to do is select Call of Duty. So the first thing that I'm going to do here is I'm just going to speed up until I get into where we can see the settings, and I will show you that the graphic settings that I'm using here are the absolute maximum for quality. Now the frame rate isn't the highest for the settings that I'm going to be using here. However, this frame rate is generally 60 frames per second anyway, and that's the most we can get over HDMI. And then what I'm going to be doing is just carrying on speeding through this, and I will try and get myself into a ranked game. The only problem is it takes me ages to get into ranked games. If I can't, then I will just go into a normal multiplayer.
Okay, so there was a bit of messing around there. I had to download some updates and I tried 3 times to get into a ranked multiplayer game. Couldn't get in, so now I'm going to a standard multiplayer. Let's see how I get on.
Target's in sight. Enemy contact. Need backup. Enemy contact. Target down. Down. Reloading. Cover me. Enemy contact. Target down. Target's inside. Need backup. Headshot! Target's in sight. Enemy contact. Contact with enemy. Target down. Target's in sight. down! Reloading! Cover me! Target in sight! Contact with enemy! Enemy down!
Okay, so there we have it then. That is exactly what Call of Duty Mobile looks like when being played on the new iPad Mini 6 in this desktop game console configuration. And don't forget here as well, the graphics were set to maximum and we could see exactly just how good it looked. And for the best part, it was probably holding 60 frames per second there. So yeah, it all looks good as far as I'm concerned. Now everything that I've used in this video will be available via Amazon links in the description to this video. So check that out if you're after any of the things that I've used here. And if you've liked the video, please give it a thumbs up. Also consider subscribing to my channel, getting on the bell notification icon in the process. I'm David Harry. Thank you very much for watching this video. Take care and goodbye now.